Hello.
Hello.
Let's not bother with that timer. I had 3 minutes left on the timer, but that's a lie because we're ready now. And who's waiting, right? Why
Yeah.
bother waiting?
No one's
Hello,
got time
hello,
for that.
yeah. Hello, and welcome to. I think I tweeted out, but I said this was the episode 7 of the Sheffield Gaming Podcast. That is also a lie. So many lies today. We're full of dishonesty. This is actually episode 6. I got that totally wrong. But yeah, well, welcome to the Sheffield Gaming Podcast, a show that is designed to bring together all those who play, work, and love games in this lovely city of ours, or at least at home in this lovely city of ours. My name is Connor Clark from the National Video Game Museum, and today I am joined by. I'll go over to my left again.
I never know which way to look. I'm Jade Nuts, and I'm an Ember ambassador, and Ember is an online social media network for gamers.
Nice. And down here?
I am Matt Turner, and when things aren't scary, I work at the Treehouse Board Game Cafe, doing board games and things, and role-playing games and all that kind of stuff.
Ace! Awesome. And I think we've got some people in the comments as well that have joined us. Clipped Out Panda. Hello, Panda. How are you? Doom Rivel. Hello. Richard Haiku.
Hi, Richard.
And we've got the team back together, and then Leah's also here as well. Hello, Leah. Thank you all for joining us live on a Friday evening. Apparently, it's a Friday. Who knows what our days?
Who can keep track? It's all I know is that the month just started.
But which month is it? It's up for debate, I suppose.
I'm doing my best not to talk about Animal Crossing because that's the only way I pass time.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Matt, I wanted to ask you. So to catch up on previous weeks, you've been having a week theme, right?
I have, yes.
Has this week's theme started?
It has. It started, yesterday/today. We just sort of finished off Seaside Week yesterday, and we have started this week's, which is Quarantine. Don't write it out. Just you can only listen to that one because if you spell it, it looks weird. But it's called Quarantine. It's Halloween for quarantine. And everything's spooky this week. So I have on my spookiest T-shirt, which is to say the moon from Majora's Mask crashing into the earth. I also, though, I was wanting to do some kind of Halloween sort of fancy dress for this episode, but then I realized that I don't have any fancy dress, like cohesive fancy dress. I just sort of have bits and bobs, and all the shops where I'd get things are closed. So what I've done is I have cobbled together several previous Halloween costumes. And so from my Dr. Horrible cosplay a few years back, I've got this. And then if you just put that together and then you just add one of these, you've got yourself a Dr. Mario. So,
genius. Wow.
Hey, everybody. It's me, a Dr. Mario, here to tell you that if COVID comes down your way, ascertain its colour and then drop pills of the same colour next to it.
Oh, you have prepared. Oh, no.
I feel awful now.
How are you? How are you, Matt? Otherwise, now Dr. Mario. Sorry, I should refer to you as from now on.
It's me. Wahoo is the first thing I've got to say. Okie dokie, or okie dokie, I don't actually have a medical license.
Good to know. And Jade, how have you been doing? How have you been doing this past week?
This week's been like a bit of a weird one because every week I've come on and said everything's fine, I'm really enjoying myself, and then this week's just been a real slog. But it's picked up. Like it's got better and better. So I mean, if anybody's feeling kind of crappy today, tomorrow's probably going to be better. I know that's a bit of a blanket statement to make, but don't get too sort of in your brain if you can help it. It'll sort of roll on to better stuff. So try not to worry.
Good to know. Good. That's good. The ups and downs are very extreme at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah.
Don't be fooled by this facade. Dr. Mario is also dying inside.
Not due to COVID-19, right?
No.
Okay, good.
He's just sad that he went to medical school and then everyone thinks he's a plumber.
Oh, yeah, they do, don't they?
Or is he a carpenter? Who knows? Cool. Yeah. So it's been a bit of a I think it has been a tough week as well, actually, because the lockdown is still seemingly never ending. It's been I think it's actually like day 40 now, or close to it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was the 23rd of March. So we've had the entirety of April, which is 30 days, and then so then you got 8 days of March as well. So
I can't tell if it's gone fast or slow. Like it boggles me. Honestly, some days just run past, and then other days I'm like, it's 12. Like I've been up since 6, and can this day really go on like for much longer? But then the weeks go in so quick as well, and I just don't. I can't find like what's my pace. I can't really get it. And I'm working as well, so I have a routine. But it's odd, isn't it?
It is, and it ain't easy. But yeah, it's good to know that everyone's on a high now, particularly as it's quarantine, and you wouldn't want to face quarantine. I can't even say it.
Quarantine, yeah. It's really bad. But you can't say hello teen. But yeah, like that's what's been keeping me going, to be honest, like theming the weeks. Frankly, with those Thursdays as a dividing line, being able to go, okay, we had the thing, and then we had the other thing, and then we're doing this thing, right? This morning, painted my nails all orange and black. They've got ghosts and spiders on them.
Nice.
I'm drinking an orange and black beer. This is North Brewing. Are they're Leeds based?
They're Leeds based, yes. North Brewing are Leeds based, which is the evil competition, I'm guessing. But I really like them. They do great beer.
Oh, we sell them at the Treehouse all the time. They make wonderful beer, and I am drinking some of their coffee coconut porter today, and because it's Friday night, and to remind ourselves it's a Friday night, we should just all be drinking alcohol.
For sure, which I am as well, also with a North Brewing beer as well, actually, a transmission, because I need it this Friday. However, actually, I think I chatted last week about how my last week was a bit. I was feeling it. I was definitely feeling the isolation. This week, however, whilst it's been a tough one, has been quite a good one for me, kind of both personally and professionally, because we've spoken about how the museum was doing a fundraiser. Ember themselves did a great fundraising stream, so the 12-hour stream that raised £350. Well, the fundraiser has beaten its initial target this week. So we initially set a big target of £80,000 to basically kind of make sure that we'd be all right and be able to outlast the pandemic. And we have topped that by a significant amount, actually. We have had some donations from big games companies such as Rockstar Games, Jagex, and THQ Nordic, and Fusebox Games. And at the moment, we are sat at £130,000 on our Just Giving.
Oh my word.
That's so good.
Yeah. So it's great. It's really great. This past week has been fantastic.
I've got an urge to clap. I won't. I can do it at the table. I just need to get out.
You'll set people off. They'll start clapping for the NHS all over town again.
I've done it now. I feel much better.
But that's phenomenal. That's an amazing amount of money. That's an amazing turnout for the gaming community, not just in Sheffield, but in the UK in general.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of the kind of the messages we've been seeing and the conversations we've been having have been all about how needed kind of the UK games heritage is, and saving this culture and preserving this culture. The big kind of one for me was that like I said, Rockstar Games got in touch and was like, look, we really want to kind of help you kind of survive and outlast this. And it was like I was chatting to some people at Rockstar, which obviously massive, huge company, and And apparently, the order came down. The person that saw it was Sam Houser, who, if you don't know, is the founder of Rockstar Games.
Oh my goodness!
He's kind of probably as close to video game royalty as you can get, really.
Yeah.
And then they were I sent a big thank you out from the NVM social channels, and the Rockstar Games kind of shared it. So this past week, I've been asked about 8 or 9 times when GTA 6 is coming out, and when they're going to do the next update for Red Dead Online, because they seem to think I am in the know. I'm not. I have no idea.
But did they say we could make a donation, or we could tell you when the next GTA is coming out?
Oh, those secrets would be worth way more than what what we raised in that fundraiser.
Yeah. You'd only have to pitch it to a couple of news sites, and you'd be off, wouldn't you?
That'd be a game. Yeah, that would be a game changer. Why didn't I approach that with them? Just say, just whisper it. Just send it in a weird email.
What about a charity auction of the details of the launch of a new product?
Oh, you're onto something there. Oh,
to be the exclusive. That would be so good. I mean, imagine this, right? Assassin's Creed Valhalla announced yesterday, day before yesterday. Both of those, actually, I think they announced it and then showed the trailer the day after. Imagine if that had been there had been a charity auction for someone to be the exclusive person where you could stream that trailer.
Yeah, you could, like you said, you have even exclusive for 1 hour or something. Like, that'd be massive. That would genuinely be massive. There's genuinely something there. That's where it's kind of cool. Just kind of have a look at the chat. Tom Batty's here. Tom's great. Hey, Tom, how's it going? You all right? Richard is drinking a vodka martini this evening. It's way classier than we are drinking with our beers. He says neither shaken nor stirred.
Is that a real thing?
A vodka
I always
martini?
assumed it was just a made-up cocktail for Bond.
It is a real thing, and it's incredibly strong. So as far as I'm aware, it's 1 measure of vodka, 1 measure of gin, and then like a dash of tonic water.
Just hearing that gave me like acid reflux.
It's an incredibly strong drink as far as I'm aware.
So strange, because the brand martini is just like vermouth, right? It's just like I was I still am a barman. Like I just do not know.
That's fair. It's one of those. It's one of those. When I was a barman, it was one of those cocktails I learnt only because I felt like I had to as a barman, not because anybody actually ever ordered it. Yeah. And then who else? What is everyone else drinking? So Leah is on a canned Italian spritz from Aldi. Nice.
Fancy. No, that's the fancy stuff.
They're quite cheap. I know. I bought them, but they're good. Afro Thunder's on just water tonight.
Hiya, bro.
My eyes immediately went down to Tom, who's got an agave IPA.
Ooh,
heck,
nice.
That sounds pretty good. Now,
Yes.
Right now, looking out the window, it's I could do with an agave IPA.
It's nice and sunny.
Okay.
And Clipped Out Panda finished all the Morgans in the flat yesterday. That is you need an essential purchase. You need to go shopping to buy some more Morgans for sure. How else are you going to drink your Coke? Okay. Cool. So, what else what else has anyone ever been up to today? This week? I don't know. It's all blended into one.
All sorts. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, aside from all the podcasts and things, I have been getting into. I've just bought too many Switch games this week. I've realised. It's becoming a nightmare because the only object in this house that I have that is contested for me, because I don't really watch TV, is the Switch. So I just decided I was gonna buy like 2 more Switch games for no reason, because of course I'm already playing Animal Crossing. I'm halfway through the 10 out of 10 game Deadly Premonition.
Oof, that is a great game.
It's a phenomenal game. I am obsessed with the mind of Swery, and I don't know what he was thinking making that game, but I'm in love with it. Even so, I'm halfway through it. I have been halfway through it for like months. You know, it's one of those that you sort of pick up and go like, I think I'm done with this one tune while I'm driving around, because there's only 4 pieces of music in the entire flipping game. But then I got Mario Maker, because I have become obsessed with races that are being held in Mario Maker. And just the game design portion of that, I've been starting to make my own level. And then finally, I picked up The World Ends With You, the Switch version of The World Ends With You, which is by Nomura, who is the producer and writer for Kingdom Hearts. And it's a Square Enix game, and it's kind of like, it originally I think came out for the DS. And it's this really cool, moody, kind of teenage, really teenage punk sort of style. You know, the power-ups are all pins that you kind of wear, and everyone's really got a real mood on. And there's loads of songs. Every time a new character comes in, you hear a new song, and it's bonkers about a 15-year-old boy who is super sulky all the time, doesn't want to talk to anyone, and then finds himself in a game where he's in like a ghost version of a city. He can see all the people around him, but nobody notices him, and he has like an hour, or he has to survive for 7 days, and every like day they get a challenge, like almost like a scavenger hunt to go and fix something in the city. It's fascinating so far.
Sounds awesome,
That sounds very Nomura. It sounds very Kingdom Hearts, and that kind of, you know, when Kingdom Hearts gets crazy, but in a good way.
Yeah, it's bonkers, and especially because without spoilers, the end of Kingdom Hearts and parts of Kingdom Hearts, the previous Kingdom Hearts series, kind of hints at a Nomura verse, where Kingdom Hearts and The World Ends With You, and obviously we all knew that Final Fantasy was in the Kingdom Hearts series. The fact that he's like, you know what? They're all in the same world, and you have to keep up with all of them. It's so on brand for Nomura, and you know, what are you gonna do? I've got to keep up with it now.
It's perfect for lore hunters. It sounds like.
It really is. It really is.
Well, a few people in the comments have been saying that Afro Thunder's been playing Streets of Rage 4, and Tom wants to play that as well. And I think actually I want to chat about that when we get to the kind of the main topic. That's a new game that came out this week. And Leah's been playing the Assassin's Creed Discovery Tour. I know Leah did that on stream actually this morning. It's like an educational game that for, you know, kids can play, but it's actually really quite good as well. Not like the rubbish educational games. So yes, I know Leah was playing that last night as well, just exploring ancient Greece.
I caught some of that. It's good fun.
It's a really, really cool little game. It's so in depth. I'm amazed at how in depth it is. If there is one game series that has more crazy lore than the Nomuraverse, as you mentioned it, it's gonna be Assassin's Creed. I
saw some screenshots. I saw some screenshots of the wiki. When it became apparent that the only way that Gandhi was able to win people over was an apple of Eden, I was like, escape and cancel. I don't.
Well, so I don't know. Have you played many of the Assassin's Creed games, Jade?
I played 1, 2, the Egypty one, and Black Flag.
Oh, you've played some of probably the best ones. I think Odyssey's up there, but I think 1, 2, Black Flag, and Origins are probably the best. Yeah, they're probably up there. There's some really, really crazy lore in some of like the spin-off games one though, like the Gandhi thing. Also the fact that I think JF Kennedy was assassinated by a Templar, and they used an apple of Eden to make it seem like it was, I don't know, someone else, or make it look like it was someone else. Yeah, it's all a bit crazy. It's so bad.
I don't want to I don't want to come across as too snarky here, but it does kind of feel like they've gone through history and gone, who did people like and who did people not like?
Yeah.
Well, the people who people like are the assassin ones, and the people who people didn't like are the Templar ones, right? Right.
For sure. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, good guys, assassins, bad guys. No, Templar.
Which is a very strange filter to apply to history, where there really should never be. You should never go, there are good guys in history, right? You should it's strange. It's a very strange filter to apply. But that's a strange juxtaposition as well with like the realities, like we were talking about it last week even. There are realities that you learn through Assassin's Creed.
Mm-hmm.
Like you do get a feel for the environment of different periods of history in different parts of the world. And then it's like, okay, and now we are applying this alternate history sort of filter over the top, applying a morality of good and bad, of factions that are positive and negative. It's quite an interesting, like almost philosophical question of like what happens when you make history so accurate and then just change tiny little bits.
Jade, have you been able to play anything this week?
This week I've been playing. Are we allowed to say it? Animal Crossing.
Yeah, of course. That's what I was teeing you up for.
I've been playing Ace Attorney as well. I've cracked out both the 3DS and the DS, and I don't know if I can actually say this or not, but I have the R4 cards and the Gateway cards, so you can sort of load upon games. So I've kind of just been going through those. Virtue's Last Reward. That's an amazing game. Just sort of going through some older ones, so I can sort of, rather than sit at the PC because I work here all day, kind of go and get comfy and sit with a handheld instead. So I'm keeping it handheld recently. But yeah, I've been playing quite a lot actually, considering as far as I'm concerned, I have no spare time.
I think that's a great idea of getting handheld and just jumping away from that work mind and breaking away from it. Dooms just said you played Virtue's Last Reward, and I want to chat about that as well. I've heard so much about this game, but I've never played it. What is it?
Oh god, it's tricky to explain. I'll try and not ruin it, and I'll try and make it sound interesting, which I usually do better. So basically, you're sort of kidnapped and taken, obviously depending on which game it is, to a location, and you have to try and figure your way out. It all works sort of based around the number 9 as well in one of the games. They're very complicated. In one, you sort of you have to choose who your team are to get through certain doors. And if you choose the wrong person, they might explode. It's it messes with your head, and you've got to do puzzles and find little bits around. Because I really like the anybody play Hotel Dusk, kind of like the graphic novel type ones where you sort of find clues and clicking about. It's like that, but it's like a really seedy undertone where you're gonna die any second.
Is it? It's go on, Matt.
I was just going to say perfect escapist media.
Lock you in a room.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. It's a very long game. I think there's 3 of them now, but they just released one quite recently. And I can't actually remember the name of it, but I bet Dom could tell me in chat because he's obsessed with it as well. But yeah, it's not one of those games either where if you go back to the first one, that it seems rubbishy, compared to the trailer you might have just seen for the newest one. They're actually all very, very good. So that's something I'd recommend if you got, a spare week.
Ace, that sounds kind of like Saw meets. Did you ever watch the old 90s horror film called The Cube?
I avoid them because they make me sick.
I haven't actually seen that movie.
The Cube was about people that wake up inside a cube, and they've got so they just wake up, and the film starts with people waking up inside this weird space cube, and they have doors on every face of the cube that they're in, and you can go through the door. But if you go through one of the doors, then suddenly someone dies for some reason, like they get chopped in half, or they're going through one door and suddenly I can't remember what happens in the queue, but it's like they have to figure out as a team and they have to work together how to choose the right door to get through.
It's very similar.
I was.
Go on, Matt. Sorry.
I was just like, when you were talking about that, like kind of this hotel that's like seedy and strange and full of like weird. Yeah, I was reminded of a PS2 game I played once, and I'm genuinely hoping that someone here can tell me it's called. I know what it's called immediately. I've just seen it on my Google. I searched PS2 hotel, and it's called The Gregory Horror Show.
Ah.
The Gregory Horror Show.
Oh, please look it up if you get a chance. It's bizarre. Everyone's got like cubes for heads.
We've got this.
It's very, very cartoony, weird looking thing where it's kind of like the Hotel California, right? You can pull up anytime you like, but you can never leave, sort of thing.
Okay.
There are staff who are keeping this hotel, and then a load of very, very troubled guests in this hotel who will all basically kill you they're all quite nice, but you have to liberate their dreams or something, I think it is, or their souls.
What the hell?
And in order to get out of this hotel. And then if they see you after you've stolen their soul, right? You the first level, you steal your next door neighbor's soul. It's really easy, right? And then you kind of get asked, right, will you steal the next person's soul? But whilst you're trying to
oh my god, sorry, this has got really loud. I apologise. Carrie, sorry, Matt.
It's okay. Whilst you are like trying to steal the next person's soul, the person whose soul you already stole is hunting for you in the rest of the hotel. So for every person's soul you steal, you are essentially you have more enemies within this same hotel that are hunting for you. And everyone has their own schedule. A little bit kind of like my favorite game, Majora's Mask. Everyone has their own schedule. They return to their bed at this time. They go over here at this time. And you have to learn all their schedules, even though you're completely terrified of them. And it is a fascinating game. Well worth a little look.
That is cool.
Really weird.
Look at that mouse. He's horrible.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play that at the minute. My anxiety is high up.
This sounds great, though. It looks really good. I mean, I think this is being played on an emulator. It's being played on PCSX too. But even then, like, the art style for that game is... Oh, no, ads. The art style for that game is gorgeous. Or at least in a way that is kind of timeless, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Kind of a Wind Waker vibe.
Yeah, definitely. What?
Yeah, somehow, Connor, I'm not surprised that all of your suggested adverts are based on video games.
Yeah. That's all our YouTube is at the moment. I have my own personal one, fortunately, with my own rubbish ads. But anyway, cool. That's such an eclectic selection of games. I was able to play. I've been similar to you, Jade. I've not had much time to play games kind of throughout the week. But last Sunday, I kind of went on a bit of a spree because we did what did we do? We did a charity live stream for the 2.6 challenge. I don't know if you heard about the 2.6 challenge.
I caught your part of it, right? Like
Nice.
I know what you did for it. I don't know exactly what the 2.6 challenge is in general.
It was something that basically the London Marathon was supposed to be last Sunday, but was obviously cancelled. It didn't go ahead, which was I was really gutted about because I really love watching the London Marathon.
I thought you were going to do it. I was like, wow, that's a big flex, right?
No, I am way too lazy and unfit for that. But I do love watching it. Like getting up in the morning and it's on BBC and they've got heart radio in the background and it's got people smiling and really sweaty and it's a good time. But basically that wasn't going ahead. So the people that ran the London Marathon decided to do, or like, organise the London Marathon, not actually run it, decided to do a charity fundraising day or week called the 2.6 Challenge, where everybody can just do something at home that is related to the numbers 2.6 or 26, because that's the marathon mile length, and then raise money, and it all goes into a big pot. And as we were fundraising for the museum anyway, we thought, let's just kind of let's help out with this pot, because all the money will go into a central pot that then goes to all UK charities, which just sounds great. So I did a 26 game challenge where I played 26 different games on one stream, and decided to do it because 26 is a nice round number. Decided to do it a game for each letter of the alphabet. So I started off with Assassin's Creed, and I ended up with Zool, and then I did a bunch of random stuff in the middle. And I got to play some. It was a lot of fun. But it was knackering. Oh my god, it's really tiring. Like,
your brain was melted after that.
Yeah, a little bit. Only did it for 10 minutes at a time, but that was enough.
Yeah.
Jade,
the first 10 minutes playing a game, right? It's like,
Yeah, no, it is. That's the worst bit.
Well, some games were brilliant for it. Some games were really good. Some games were just like rubbish for it. Like, I think I tried playing XCOM. I got to X, and what games start with X? Like, I couldn't think of any. But I had just bought the new XCOM game, XCOM Chimera Squad. So I was like, okay, that'll do. There's your X game. But like that game, like you sit there for hours and you do like, well, it takes 10 minutes to do one turn, right? If you're taking your time like I do. So I got nothing done. But yeah, it was fun. I got to play 26 different games, and then I just played just one in the week since then, which was the game I was going to chat about when we talk about games helping us be social. Because I figured it'd be a good chance to. We've talked about in the last previous weeks about games that can help us through isolation, how games can either keep us active or keep our minds sharp, or just kind of relieve us of the. I don't know if monotony is the right word for what we're in, but yeah, for that, how it can kind of get us out of that and keep us kind of going. But one of the really good ways, and we've talked about it quite a bit anyway, but one of the really good ways that games can do that is that games are very social now, right? Games. We talked a lot about single player games because I think we all play a lot of single player games, but there are so many ways that games can be engage other people, whether it's through something like this, like streaming on Twitch, but also kind of online multiplayer, or jumping on kind of chats, etc. So yeah, I think games have a really good way of keeping us social, and that can kind of keep us sane, whilst we're not chatting to anyone for weeks at a time. But yeah,
I think it's one of those things where, like, it can feel a little bit forced to talk to your friends right now, right? Like, and I have been struggling with this even before the lockdown happened, right? I think as myself, and I think there is pressure on this because I'm male, because I've seen female friends and people I know who are women are usually socialized a little bit better just to be able to hang out with their friends. Just say, I want to hang out with you, let's talk, right? Whereas I have found myself limiting myself to, talking to my friends unless we have something on. Unless we are, I can say, well, let's do something. Let's do a project together, right? I started my podcast, I think, because I wanted to spend time with my co-host Tom, and we just went like, let's do a podcast together, right? I think I have often felt a pressure to just be like constantly doing something, or like, we're going to play this game, we're going to get through this game in order to spend time together. So especially now when we're not just happening to see people, it's quite hard to arrange those times to just spend quality time with your friends. And that can be true of anyone, but I think I've certainly felt that for me. And yeah, I think games have provide this really nice place where you can essentially say, let's play this game. What I want to do is just spend time with another human being, but this is a really nice excuse because I won't ask another person just to say hello and just check in with how they are. I'll just, continue being alone.
Yeah. I think that's what. So Tom just wrote in the comments that that's probably why sports exist. There's sports.
No doubt.
Particularly kind of I want to say kind of male-centric sports, but they're not really. But this kind of idea of you go down the football with the lads, that kind of thing, is this way to guys to actually spend time together under the veil of we're going to go watch Leicester City play or whatever.
I'm definitely onto something. Just because, just by chance, my closest friends do happen to be male. I've had sort of close female friends around, but a lot of them sort of stayed in different cities, so I don't see them very often, or they're just very busy women, so it's really hard to pin them down. But yeah, definitely, because in some of our group chats where I'm the only female in there and it's a group of guys, I will sort of occasionally just jump in hiya, what are you doing? Everybody still alive? And then they're kind of what do you want? Not because they hate me, but because they don't do the idle patter between one another. They're kind of right, is she going to ask us something or is she going to tell us something? And I'm no, I'm just saying hello. And they're okay, yeah, we're still here. And I'm okay, good. I'm okay as well. And they're yeah. If you need to tell us something, just and I'm And I don't think they hate me. But I think that is just that like you say, they're expecting something to happen as a result of the conversation rather than me just idly sort of laying in bed, I've not spoke to such and such for a while. I'll just drop them a message to make sure they're all right. So I can see that. I would love some more female friends if you know already.
If you're out there, female friends, you know who to contact. Her Twitter handle is right there underneath the frame. But yeah, no, it's games have, for me, always been an absolute staple of my relationships with other people, right? From my full late adolescence playing World of Warcraft and raiding and feeling like I was part of a very tight-knit community because I was in this very regimented set of people who, you could be in this group or you could be out of this group, and this is my guild, these are my people, this is what I do. All the way to just having friends who I meet in the day-to-day, and then being able to say, I would like to spend more time with you. Let's play a video game together, and we'll experience the same thing at the same time and have stuff to talk about from that.
It's that common interest that sparks it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's really good. I try and use that on nights out. I'll sort of approach people, and it's very hit and miss whether people, I assume, because I'm so sort of absorbed in it, I just assume that everybody games. But then occasionally you meet someone, they're no, I go outside, and I'm what's that like? But yes, it's great, isn't it? If you do find that sort of common ground with someone in games, there's always a nice little rabbit hole you can get in there with them, and because it does that nice little, did you ever do this when you were younger, or are you looking forward to anything in future? It kind of hits on a lot of things, doesn't it? So it's a really good friendship starter, I think.
For sure, sure.
So are there games of choice that you use to bond with people?
I used to just go in with I sort of do you know what Twitch is? That's how I kind of start, and they'll be I think so. Is that a video games thing? Or they say no, and I go, never mind. I've got nothing else. And then they sort of say yeah or no, and I go, if they do, I say, oh cool. Do you watch or do you play? And then from there, I can figure out what they're into. Yeah, LA Noir Afro just saying in the chat. I can find out if they, what kind of games they're into, and I can tell them whether I've played those, or I could just say, I play these. Do you know them? And then either way, you can kind of build from there. But if you use the sort of Twitch thing to start, then I can go, oh, have you heard of Ember? And I'll just shamelessly plug that in there. But yeah, it's quite a good way to start the Twitch thing, and obviously that's really, really good for being social because. While I very rarely will play a multiplayer game, I have the chat, and it's really nice to sort of have that support. And I'm really, really lucky that I've got a Discord server full of lovely, lovely people that they're always chatting in there all the time. So if I'm sort of sat and I am feeling more isolated than normal, I just sort of drop a hi guys, and then there's always someone there, and it's just so like it's nice. It just makes you feel really warm and fuzzy, and Twitch is really really good for that. And even if you're just talking in the chat, you can find friends from there really easily. Everyone's so nice, and the people that aren't nice get banned, so it's fine.
You can curate that. That's great.
That's a good actually. Richard just put a good point. Is that he's been working well for him playing games like Paladins with a friend, and they've been using Google Hangouts to kind of, which I think is actually exactly what we're doing. But they're using Google Hangouts to chat whilst playing, so they don't have to go into the potentially toxic game chat, because obviously game chat is not curated. And actually, we've been doing the same, me and my buddies, because we've been playing Call of Duty Warzone, which is the free to play Call of Duty game that came out. Because when I was growing up, like one of the games that I used to play a lot when Xbox Live was a thing was Call of Duty Black Ops and the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 as well. And those were massive games for me back in 12 years ago, which makes me feel horrible. So I used to play those a lot, and then everyone grew up and everyone kind of spread apart, and I carried on playing games, but then I kind of work at the game museum, so that's kind of inevitable. But a lot of my friends stopped playing games, right? So because we stopped this reason to hang out online together, we did stop chatting a lot. A lot of us kind of stopped talking. Maybe a WhatsApp message here or there, but just sharing a meme like that's what we do. But it wasn't like the hours long conversation we had before. And one of the benefits actually of this whole isolation period, and it's a I say benefit, but it's obviously come out of a horrible situation, but was this we've been able to kind of reconnect over the old game that we all used to play, and everyone's playing it again.
That's really nice.
I've not spoken to these people in 10 years, but hey, let's all jump on Call of Duty like it's 2010, because why not? And it's worked really well. I've got one of my friends is he's really cool actually. He's an Instagram photographer. That's his job. So he spends his entire life living in a van and going to the most beautiful places on earth and taking photos. And he was, yeah, it's amazing. And his main, he was massively into Call of Duty back in 2010, but kind of just has dropped it. Hasn't played it for nearly 10 years. And now, hey, why not? He did his editing the day, so let's all play Call of Duty again. And it's been really nice just being able to catch up with everyone. There's a few people in the same boat as well. That have just been kind of great to catch up on. But importantly, going back to my point about Richard's comment, we are all on Discord, voice chatting on there. None of us are going into game chat because we cannot handle that. That is too much.
It's too much of a minefield. You never know what you're gonna get, and people talk about we're on Twitter when we curate our spaces, our social spaces. We're living in a bubble, right? We're living in a sort of what do they call it? A echo chamber. Yeah. But at the same time, we do that in real life, right? We do that. We don't talk to the people we don't want to, and that's if you go down a certain pub and you have a bad experience, you don't go back to that pub.
It's true. People sometimes feel bad for kind of filing their friends into certain categories, like they're not being a true friend. But your friend that you play games with doesn't have to be the same friend that you would go to the gym with. It's perfectly okay to sort of have friends for not for different reasons, because that sounds sort of usy. But if you only enjoy one thing with that friend, but you have a different political standpoint, or you have different ideologies about what's right and what's wrong, or all sorts of that. If you don't have to disregard somebody completely, if you have something in common, it's okay to keep that person around based on that one thing. That's what I think anyway. There'd be no reason to sort of go, oh, we really really bond over this, but something that isn't anything to do with this, you don't agree with me with, oh, we'll just terminate the friendship then. So I think that's you definitely do that without kind of realizing. And then you think the people that you would go on like a mad night out with, would you then take them to your friend's wedding, or you know what I mean? You have to you do make these decisions whether it's consciously or not.
I certainly have gotten very well with some people at cons when I've been pretty drunk. And I've gone to a con and we've been partying in like the hotel lobby or whatever. And then I've gone back to their Twitter like 2 years later, and they're just like they're alt-right and they're sort of spewing hatred, and I'm like, all right, well, bye.
Oh dear, that's the worst. That's the worst it can be, really, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it lets you know that like everyone considers them. It allows you to touch base politically, right? It allows you to go like everyone is human and lots of people have commonalities, but also I don't want to hear what this person is saying anymore.
Mute.
Yeah. But yeah, like I'm obsessed with connecting over games. It's how most of my friendships work. I feel there is personally for me, I always go for cooperative kind of PvE type stuff. I've been playing a lot, probably a little bit more than I should, of Deep Rock Galactic, which is a by the people who made Satisfactory, which is also a game that isn't out yet. They're both not out yet. It's Coffee Stain Studios, and they are great. The Deep Rock Galactic is essentially a big mining game. You get shot down into a foreign planet as four dwarves, all with their own sort of specialties. And you have to basically get sent with a mission. You have to either repair some equipment and bring it back up. You have to mine out a certain amount of a certain ore. And there's all these caverns and things like that. It's a shooter. But it's very much kind of like a Left 4 Dead meets Minecraft. Sort of like you're going for these special minerals, but also you're kind of running away from basically what are the aliens from Starship Troopers. And it's brilliant. I've been really enjoying it because like you find yourself as a certain kind of key to a certain lock, if you will. Like for instance, there's one character that I love playing who just has drills for hands, and he's got a flamethrower, he's got guns and stuff like that, but it doesn't matter because he's got drills for hands. And so you can just like push your way through walls, even if you're lost in the middle of a massive and complicated cavern, and it's like you now have 2 minutes to get back to the drop pod. We're leaving without you if you don't get back. Then you can just drill your way in a very direct line back to the drop pod, and nobody worries about it. There's people who have zip lines and people who can make platforms and all this kind of thing. But no matter what, you always feel like you're like an important part of the team, and I love that about it.
I just decided to put a video of someone playing it on the screen, and it looks mental. Honestly, you're just explaining it, saying 4 dwarves crash landing on a planet or landing on a planet. I'm already smiling. I'm already in. Like, sold.
It's great. It's good fun, and like whatever it is, there's a bar in the lobby. So there's like you're on this space station when you're like getting a game, right? And before you started, and there's a bar there, and there's this culture around the people, because I have been talking via text chat rather than voice. With people who I've played with, just randoms. Even though I've got friends who play this, I'm the guy who plays a little bit more than them. So I just got a couple of. I'm sort of like playing with some randoms, and I've been talking to them, and there's a kind of culture where one person buys a round. They buy it comes with kind of buffs for the next. For the next game, so everyone's drinking together. They all down the drink, and then you have the empty cup. And as you're heading up to the drop pod, as your 4 little dwarves, you all throw the drink. You all throw the empty cup, and like you're like, ah! And then you just press V, and your characters all go rock and stone, it's just great fun.
Amazing. Oh.
But same guys as well, though, did Satisfactory, which is I don't know if you guys have played Factorio, the kind of machine building, factory building simulator that's top down. Well, Satisfactory is a first person one of these, where essentially you start off digging iron. And you're like on the surface, you're exploring an alien planet. Sounds familiar. but you are exploring this beautiful, beautiful planet, and you're like, the company wants iron. Give us some iron. So you like go and you hit it with a big pick, and you're like, all right, well, this is whatever. And then they're like, okay, now you've brought this iron back. What we're going to do is we're going to smelt it, and then we're going to make it into a drilling machine. And you're like, oh, okay. So you take that back to the iron patch. Look at that on the screen right now. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You take it back to the drilling patch, and you put your like driller down, and it does the drilling for you. So you no longer have to mine anymore. So then it's like, okay, well, what do? You spend your time making all the ore it produces into bars, and then it gives you a machine that turns it into bars, right? So you don't have to do that anymore, and everything starts automating, and then you've got conveyor belts that allow you to move all the stuff around without you carrying it back and forth. And then there are machines that like create more important, like tiny, complex machines, and eventually you end up with this system, and you're like, oh, I've set all this in motion. It's so satisfying to see this going off without me doing anything. But there's still more to be done. You need to create more. And it's just like that. This game is a love letter to that exact feeling.
It's very No Man's Sky.
Oh,
sorry?
Very, yeah.
It's very No Man's Sky. Like I just saw him sort of scanning around and looking for stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
Would you say you create a factory of satisfaction?
Yeah.
That seems to be like what you were arguing. Oh no, my camera seems to have messed right up and is really behind. Like 10 minutes behind.
Oh my goodness.
Hopefully it catches up right now. I might go really fast.
It might. I think if you maybe disable it and re-enable it, it might pop back to sync. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, Satisfactory is great. Oh, Afro Thunder's just mentioned Journey to the Savage Planet. I've also been playing that. Not recently, because the guy I was playing it with, my colleague and friend Sam, has just had a lovely baby, little baby, and during the start of quarantine. So shout out to Sam. I hope everything's going all good. We played that. That's good fun, by the way. Go and play that with a friend. It's a co-op thing. You're gathering materials, solving kind of Metroidvania puzzles, and doing a load of first-person platforming, and bouncing off enormous mushrooms. And it's real fun.
That sounds awesome.
I think that's on Game Pass, isn't it? It's on Xbox Game Pass, so I think I might.
Is it?
I might jump on that. Yes, Journey to the Savage Planet. It was like last week. It was added on. So if are you playing it on Xbox or PC?
I'm playing it on PC on the. I think we play it on Epic. Maybe we played it on Epic. I can't remember.
Okay, I might ask you to kind of Sherpa me through some of that game, because I kind of want to try that game out as well.
No problem.
Another Game Pass game I've been playing, which actually is I've not played it socially yet, but it's so good, and I need to get people involved. And I think what I can do is maybe even like share my screen so other people can kind of just play along, even if they don't have an Xbox or anything. Is Streets of Rage 4. So, from the Video Game Museum, I need to know my retro games, right? And I did play quite a lot of beat-em-ups back in the day. And Streets of Rage 4 is the sequel for Streets of Rage 3, which was released back in 1993, or even earlier than that, maybe.
Yeah.
It's 20 years old. It's a very long-awaited, highly anticipated sequel. And even better, it's really good. And it's 4-player multiplayer, and I think it's just, I think it's the perfect kind of game just to kind of jump in. Because even if, I think we were chatting just before the stream went on, we'll probably come on to it in a minute, but there's a weird disconnect sometimes when you're playing online games with people that might be of a different skill level, right? So if you're playing with someone and they're really, really good and you're not as good, they might be like, I'm just going to go play on my own because I'm more likely to win or something, right? Streets of Rage is a button masher. Like, you mash the button. You can be good at Streets of Rage, yes, but in general, everyone's the same. You just mash X, right? So I think, despite the skill level, that's still the kind of the perfect game to mitigate against that.
Yeah, if you're struggling with if you've invited a newcomer to your PUBG group, and you're just like, this tensions are going to start fraying if we don't pivot to something else. That sounds like that would be your ideal, right?
Definitely. And it's just a free little button masher. It's 2D beat 'em up. It's ace. It's a cool little game.
Yeah. By the time I was playing games at all, I think Streets of Rage was already in collections, right? So probably that one Mega Drive collection that everyone had.
Oh, yeah.
The Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, and what was the last one?
I'm sure Columns was on one of them.
Oh, maybe.
It's just like terrible Tetris with the gems.
Yeah.
I liked Columns, me. I was alright at it.
Never played it. Golden Axe was the one that whenever I got access to a Mega Drive, that was where I was.
Ace. One thing I also wanted to say, so actually last call we had last week, Jade, we had to jump off. Well, we started chatting a little bit afterwards, and then we had to jump off because you were hosting a quiz. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
How did that go? What happened with that?
Yeah, it was really good actually. So I got all my pals, obviously in their own homes, to sort of jump on and hang out. I sat and read the questions out and sort of really got into character with all that, and I was kind of feeling myself, to be fair. But then, if I can give one bit of advice, write down the answers, because by the time that like 9 o'clock came around, I'd had a few gins, and I had to Google the answers while they don't. I was like, send me pictures of your answers, please. And I was looking at my phone like, and then I had to Google what the answer was, and everybody just sat there like. But it was very classic me. So no, I don't think anybody was like upset. But they were just like, how did we not foresee that this is how the quiz was going to go? So I don't know who won. But yeah, they really enjoyed it up until, I think at the end they were like, it would have been nice to know whether we won or not. We've been here like 2 hours.
Hey, that's number wang. That's number wang, right? It's like, who cares? Points don't matter.
Correct. Yeah, it's the game. It's the taking part. It's the fun. Is working it out amongst yourselves, right?
Well, luckily, they kind of perceived me as a bit of a lovable scamp, so nobody was too annoyed. But I do recommend the answer sheet being in front of you. But apart from that, it went really well, and it was great because I did a games round and a music round, a little bit of geography, a little bit of history. I think overall people enjoyed it, and it was quite good because for each round I thought about the people in the quiz and almost targeted a question at those. So if they didn't get it, I don't know if they did or not. I could kind of take the piss a bit.
Yeah. I think that the whole explosion, because it has been an explosion of kind of virtual pub quizzes and quizzes online, has been amazing. Actually, it's really kind of cool to see. I'm a part of a quiz chat on WhatsApp. That I know one person on that chat, and there are about 20 odd different people all wanting to do quizzes or take part in quizzes, and then we just do them over WhatsApp. I don't know any of them. I've actually made friends throughout this because of this WhatsApp chat, and I think that is something that, well, I hope it kind of continues on. People still keep doing these. It's great, kind of, watch EastEnders at 8 p.m, but at 8:30 you've got your WhatsApp chat. So let's go do a quiz where everyone can just get together, even if we're not going down the pub, even though preferably we would be at the pub or at Treehouse Gaming Cafe for their impossible quiz, etc.
Hey, that's on this Sunday, by the way, folks. Go get your tickets, etc. It's been doing absolute gangbusters, 80 plus teams a week, each one, I think, something like that. It is a really fun quiz, though. It's one of those that's going to spark a lot of conversation, and I think it's really, really great. This Sunday is when it's on. So go to Treehouse, Sheffield.com. I did want to mention something before we started to close down. I mean, there was a lot of things I wanted to mention, but this one in particular, I wanted to mention that if any of you who are listening or what have you have been down to the Treehouse, then you will probably have been kind of wowed by the food. It's good. Head chef Rich is amazing and really creative, and just sort of like there's a very, very signature, unique style to Treehouse cooking. And what he's done, if for people who might be missing it, is he's put some recipe cards out for a couple of the recipes that we use regularly at the Treehouse. And basically, the idea is that we're tying this into the food bank fundraiser. Mm-hmm. So if anyone wants those, they are just available at treehousesheffield.com/food dash like hyphen drink, right? Food hyphen drink. And you can just get those for free, but we are kind of recommending that you contribute about $2.50 per recipe card for that. But the recipe for his Thai style sweet potato and coconut soup is there. You don't want to miss it. I promise you don't want to miss that.
Ooh, interesting.
Oh,
these are really cool. Yeah, I like these.
They're well professional. I love that.
Yeah, it's really good food. So if you're on a food kick, if you're on a cooking kick, now you're at home quite a lot, this might be the thing that you kind of keeps that going and gives you a bit of variety.
Ace, and just looking at it like briefly, it doesn't look like it's got anything like crazy that you're not going to get hold of. It looks like it's all just ingredients that you're gonna like. Most of those I think we have, and we aren't big cookers. But no, it's cool. I like that.
Amazing. Sweet. Yes. Okay. That's what I need to get better at. Actually, I have been eating like rubbish in this lockdown. I think to help me get through it, but I think something like that will probably help me. Yeah, would really help me out with making sure I don't put on too much weight.
The very least you can do if you're ordering in, though, if you're not going to do that, if you're ordering in, tip your delivery people. Do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very dangerous profession right now, and they are not getting paid hazard pay.
No, they are the Sam Bridges. If anybody's played Death Stranding. Which was incredibly prophetic when we look back at it now.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
They are the people keeping us alive from the scary ghosts. Yeah, and another thing I wanted to add, actually, if anyone is watching, go check out Treehouse Food. But also, if anybody wants to play, because we're talking about social games, right? If anyone wants to play with kind of me, or wants someone to play online with, because they might not be able to play games online with people because they don't want to play with randoms and they want people that they might know. Even in this kind of weird Twitch relationship, I'm just going to comment my gamer tags and stuff, so people can just add me and then add me to anything, just in case that helps people. I don't know. I'm happy to play. Yeah. I'm around every evening and can just play with people if people want to play a game. I've got most games, so I'm just going to put that down in the chat now, just in case anybody wants to know.
I think I'm the same everywhere. So if you search for a Matt Speaks Words, you're likely to find me.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually the same everywhere now, apart from my Nintendo code. But who knows their Nintendo code by heart?
Surely no. It's like give it a few years. We might know it as well as we know our home phone numbers from when we were children. But it's unlikely that you're gonna find the rest. Well, you tell you what, I'm gonna add you on Steam there. I don't know why I haven't added you on Steam before, actually, Connor. But I'm gonna add you on Steam there, and then if I'll try and jump into some of the same games.
Absolutely, yeah. Playing a lot of. I did a silly mistake. I think I did what you did as well, Matt. I bought too many games this past week. Because I have Xbox Game Pass and I have it for PC, so I get to play a lot of games like Gears Tactics, which came out, which I'm really excited for. But the day before Gears Tactics came out, I bought the new XCOM game, and they're basically the same game. So I'm just playing the same game twice. I'm loving them both. They're both amazing in their own different way, actually, but they're practically the same.
Goodness, there's been a few additions to my regular kind of process, let's say, of gaming with friends. One of them being I'm now doing a part of a community of a bunch of people I don't know, but also some people I do, playing Gloomhaven, on Tabletop Simulator, because Gloomhaven, if you don't know about it, I know many people who are part of this audience might not be super into board games, might be slightly more into video games. Gloomhaven is a massive board game. It's basically they describe it as D&D in a box, right? It's this huge thing. In fact, let me show you.
Do you have the box?
There we go.
Oh wow!
There we are. So that's this.
That's massive.
And it's enormous, and it is gorgeous as well. Like, there we go. This huge thing. And the idea with it is it's D&D in a box. Like, there's a whole hundreds of hour campaign in that thing. Okay, and you get to play as individual characters, and it's co-op, but you're stealing loot from each other, that sort of thing. Like, I've been playing that on Tabletop Simulator, and it's just passing the time like nothing else. I only play it for like one scenario, which is probably about a 3-hour thing a week. But it's amazing. Like, you just want to start the next one immediately, even though it's like coming up on 11 o'clock and you're like, I'm knackered and I've been thinking so hard for all this time. It's a very nuanced game. It's not like it's a role-playing game. It's a very sort of like, you end up thinking a lot about what you want to do next. It encourages talking between the players as well, planning for your next thing. And I've been playing that a bunch and just loving it. So if you get the chance, if you buy Tabletop Simulator, the whole game is on Tabletop Simulator. So you can get some friends together and just waddle your way over and just sort of, you've got to start learning to play the game. That's the barrier to entry, right? You have to learn how to play the game. It won't do it for you. Some of Tabletop Simulator is very janky, and but some of it's also scripted to make it easier for you. It'll set up the scenarios, which sometimes take half an hour to set up, you know, when you're at home. Like, it'll do that with the click of a button, which is really great, but also you know, it's kind of janky. But maybe my favorite thing at the moment is the fact that I get to play that every week.
Nice. Awesome. And the second favorite thing is this podcast. Am I right?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's a highlight. And by the way, guys, you know, a few weeks ago I mentioned. This is my vain bid to try and get a few more board games on the show. By the way, so a few weeks ago I might have mentioned, in fact, you know, months ago I should say, Connor, we both played Wavelength a little bit.
Yeah, Wavelength. I love it. It's amazing.
I have discovered that just through play that it is possible to do so over Zoom, and I have some ideas for chat interaction. So if you wanna give it a go sometime with chat, I would love to give this a go.
Oh my god, yes. Okay, special edition of the Sheffield Gaming Podcast. We're going to play some Wavelength. I am so up for that. That sounds amazing, because Wavelength is pretty cool. I think we should go away and plan that, and then we'll set up a stream. We'll do it. Yes, I'm so in, Matt. That sounds absolutely awesome. Cool. So I think we are going to kind of finish up now. We have topped an hour and 10 minutes. As I think I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, the Sheffield Gaming Podcast, what we're doing now, we're on episode 6. So we're still kind of new, still kind of finding our way through it. But as it's, you know, we're hoping to build some sort of blossoming little community. And we want to reach out across Sheffield to hear as many different voices as possible. There are so many brilliant ones, brilliant kind of people that are so great and always chatting in every different stream we do, such as Richard, Tom Batty, you're always there. Doom, you've been in the last couple of times as well. Afro, you're awesome. So thank you all so much for coming in. We'd love to kind of hear from as many different voices as well. So if you do live games and live nearby, please do get in touch with us all. We'll continue to do this podcast weekly for the foreseeable future. Who knows when lockdown's gonna end? And even if it does end, hey, we might still carry on going. So you can catch, if you want to keep up to date on all the planning stuff and when we're going live and what we're going to be talking about, I usually put it all on Twitter. So our Twitter is @Sheffield Gaming. So be sure to follow that, and please do follow this Twitch channel for whenever it's on as well. But yeah, so Jade, before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to let our audience know about what's going on, where people can find you?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Ember, just basically keep your eyes peeled because I know there's a heck of a lot of work that's been going on. We've sort of changed like the back end system of the whole site, so everything's sort of moved about. And I've actually got to see a preview of it, and it's beautiful. So if you're not with us, it's emberapp.gg to sign up. Drop me a message on Twitter. That's my handle there, and I can get you an access code. For those of you who are already with us, I think you're gonna really like it. It's great. Yeah, that's all from me though.
Awesome. Matt, where can people find you? Anything you'd like to tell me?
Yeah, if you can find me on Twitter at MattSpeaksWords, I would also encourage you to go over to at Life's a Pitch Show, which is my podcast where we pitch films that will never get made based on suggested titles from our audience. I'm very proud of it. It's a show I do every week and have been doing so for the past maybe 5 years. I don't know. It's a long time. Please go over there. That's Life's a Pitch Podcast. That's soundcloud.com/Life's a Pitch Podcast, or just search for it in your own app and you'll find us. We like to hear from you, even if you haven't listened. We put out a post every week asking for titles. So we'd like to hear from you, giving us prompts for the show.
Awesome. And I am on Chrono Clean, which you can see just there, and doing all the National Video Game Museum stuff. I'm doing a show as well on the same Twitch channel on Mondays, which is all about video games and museums and video games heritage. So if you do like this show, you might like that show as well. It's a lot more of me though. You've got less Jade and less Matt, so it's not as good, of course. But I did get the Oliver twins on. I don't know if you heard of the Oliver twins. They're the most prolific 8-bit game designers ever. They've made like 50 different 8-bit games. I got them on the show last Monday, and they're twins. So I got them to play the Newlywed game, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, nice. I rallied around my 8-bit Dizzy fans to get them to hustle them over into the chat.
Awesome. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun questions in the chat as well. So and this next week we've got. Next week we're going to be doing stuff about virtual museums, and I've a bit of a scoop as well because I've not announced this yet. But we've got Mark Hardesty is coming on the show to be interviewed, and he wrote the book on Gremlin graphics, and he is essentially the historian about Sheffield and video games. He knows everything about Sheffield and video games, so I'm really interested. I'm really excited to kind of grill him on some kind of really obscure knowledge that he will inevitably know. And that is all from everyone at the Sheffield Gaming Podcast. Thank you everyone for kind of tuning in and listening along. I think these are going really well. These are a lot of fun, these streams.
Loving it.
And help me mark when my Fridays are so I can enjoy the rest of the weekend. Cool. Should see everyone.
Wash your hands.
Yeah.
Wash your hands. Bye-bye.
Bye.